If you're in the internet marketing, online business making space, whether it's the agency model, the coaching model, consulting, or just any business that operates online, and you don't know who this guy is, I assume you live under a rock, because this guy has blown up massively from I think he just started posting on YouTube not even a year ago. And within a year, I think his subscribers is almost at 100,000 subscribers. He currently on a brand new offer is doing almost $500,000 a month. If you don't know, he sold his last education company. I don't know if you guys understand how hard that is to do, because there's very rarely you can have an IP associated to a coaching program, an info product, in which investors will be willing to pay you an absurd amount of multiple on. He was able to sell that company multiple seven figures and was able to do over $16 million with that company. If you have not heard of William Brown, I highly suggest you go on YouTube and you search him up, because this is probably, out of all the guests we brought on, I don't like to use the word demeaning, but he is such a down-to-earth person who is such at a high caliber that I have probably encountered in this space, and I just wanted to give him his flowers. I doubt he's gonna watch this, but if you do, William, I want you to know that everyone in the community highly appreciated you, and we thank you so much for doing this. For those of you guys who are in this internet marketing making space, I highly recommend you stick around and hear what he has to say, because for someone to be able to sell an info company, it doesn't usually happen. So without further ado, let's rock and roll. Superstars, superstars, superstars. What up, my people? You beautiful souls. Let's let people straggle in for a second. We got something special for you all today. So I'm excited, man. Give it just a bit. Before we get started, first and foremost, go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat for this guy. He apparently has 10 calls back to back to back today. It's nighttime where he is, yet he still is taking time out of his busy ass day to come provide some value. So go ahead and drop a 1 for my man. Again, bro, we are extremely grateful to have you here. I know you're busy, so thank you, man.
Yeah, my pleasure, dude. My pleasure. No worries.
Let's go. Before we hop into it, again, guys, show up how you would want your clients to show up for you. Turn your cameras on. Give the man some respect. I'm gonna drop his YouTube, his Instagram, and he also has a book that apparently is absolutely freaking fire. Y'all go check that out as well. Latter half of the 30 minutes, we are gonna let you guys come off mute. William just said he wants you guys to raise your hand. You can come off mute and ask your question if you have a question. So if you do have a question, or if you don't, prep for it. The only caveat: 1 question per person. Be respectful of other people's time. Cool?
Cool.
All right, let's rock and roll, Serge. You can take it over in the meantime.
All right. So for me, I'm personally excited for today's call because, William, I personally haven't consumed a lot of your content. I know Casey has, so I'm actually excited to just jump into your story, learn like your come up, your obstacles, how you figured things out, what was your aha moment, and because I think a lot of people here too would love to kind of like figure out, your hero's journey, and I'm personally excited. I'm excited. It's like watching a movie right now. So, so tell us, where does the journey start? How did you get in the game? And walk us through a quick story.
Yeah, for sure. I'll try and keep this brief because I know that we're limited on time.
Yeah.
So my first ever proper career, I used to be a professional DJ and record producer. I DJ'd all over the world in over 45 countries between the age of 19 and about 25. Then life got a little bit more real. So I saw my buddies getting married, buying nice cars, buying houses. And I lived with my parents. So people thought that I was famous and pretty rich, but I was actually not making very much money at all. Some months I'd make 8, 9, 10 grand. Some months I'd make 0. Some months I'd make $800, So I looked pretty successful, but I was actually not making very much money at all. So about 25 years old, I started trading financial markets to try and make more money. Okay. And I was trading, doing music, and I had a Twitter account with about 200 followers. So tiny following, right? One day, someone messaged me and said, "Will, I've been following you. Your cousin said you're doing very well. I'm not. Could I please pay you for some help?" And he PayPal'd me $50, came to my house for 2 hours, And that was my first ever coaching client, right? I didn't really know it at the time. Now, that business grew pretty fast. So I just realized, wow, people will pay me just to tell them shit, basically. And I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. So I made a Word document and I tried to sell the Word document to my Twitter followers for $50. And that actually worked. The customers helped me make the product better. I slowly raised the price. And that online learning, that e-learning coaching business kind of accidentally came about through that, right? So year one, I did about 24K. Year two, I did about $250,000. Year three, I did about 1.3 million. And across 6 years, I went from my parents' spare room to making 16.4 million cash collected with that company. And then I sold that company to a private equity firm in Colorado last year for multi-seven figures. As far as I'm aware, I'm one of the only people in the world that's ever sold an online course business to private equity, which is quite cool. And ever since then, I started a YouTube channel. So when I sold the business last year, I started a YouTube from scratch. I made a video called something like, I just sold my business to a private equity firm or something. And the YouTube blew up. So it's gone from 0 to about 65K subs in about 12 months. And I started the new company that I run now, which is called buildgrowandexit.com. And I help people to either build online coaching businesses or grow them, or also exit now as well. And when I sold the company, my intention was just to get a few clients, make 30, 40, 50K a month, something small, and just chill and enjoy life. The YouTube channel blew up. The company blew up as a result of that. And last month we had our biggest ever month, 424K cash collected,
Nice.
about 1.4 million contracted. And even to this day, it's only me and 2 sales reps. So the profit margin is about, it's about
Insane.
91% profit margin on almost $500,000 a month cash, which is quite cool. And that's it. That's the story, really.
Crazy,
Interesting. Interesting. So what made the last company valuable for the PE firm?
Well, they bought the assets, not the shares, right? So they didn't buy the company, they just bought the assets and then reincorporated themselves. But the value that they saw was number one, on the paid ad side, we never, ever, ever had a losing month for about 3.5 years. So every single month we were profitable on ads. That gave them a lot of peace of mind. They were like, dude, 3.5 fucking years, come on, so that gave them a lot of peace of mind. They really liked the product. They really liked the team. And they really liked that it was a faceless business as well, because it was completely faceless. I never showed my face, despite that 16.4 mil that we did. So, and yeah, I just removed myself from the business, basically. So we had a coaching team, support team, bookkeeper, accountant, media buying company, copywriter. So towards the end of the company, I was pretty much out. I was pretty much removed, which helped with the exit. And we sold for 2.6 EBITDA. So annual net profit 2.6, which I was pretty happy.
Okay. So yeah, because that's why it's like, because I saw you pop out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, so and in case he shared your case study, I was like, what? So he's making 60 mil and we haven't heard from him? I'm like, where, like, so now it makes sense, because one of the things I sent an email to my list yesterday, I was like, one of the biggest problem why info coaching or really any service business that has a personal brand attached to it don't sell is because they have key man risk. Like if the personal brand leaves, the company is worthless. So now that you share that insight, it makes it sick. So was it coaching around financial stuff, training still?
Yeah, exactly. So the front end was $8,500 program, and it was a training course, group coaching, themed one-to-one calls, and a software. And then we had a mastermind on the back end.
Interesting. Okay, and all that through you kind of your main acquisition was still paid ads?
Yeah, it was, and maybe we can talk more about this, but it was 95% paid ads driven. And I really learned a lot of lessons from that company, man. Like what I'm doing now is basically the polar opposite of what I did there. So I really learned a lot of lessons over there. And then I was like, right, let me start fresh and do
Yeah.
it the right way, you know?
That's
Quick,
one of my
yeah,
questions, actually.
yeah.
Oh.
Let me cook this one because this is interesting. So you go from making 16 mil with paid ads, and then now you're making half a mil, 90% profit margins, team of 3 people. You guys are 3 people.
Yeah.
Compare those two companies.
Yeah.
What's what lessons have you learned from now that you've built another multiple 7-figure company organically versus
Mm.
the paid? Like what insights do you have in the change of the landscape of scaling offers online?
Yeah, for sure. Well, one thing is, so one big thing that I learned is one A player sales rep is worth four B and C players. You know, so there was one time when we hired this fucking superstar rep called Alex, and
Mhm.
dude, all the reps were closing between like 18 and say 24%. Alex came in 34% close rate, month one, just murdered, and we instantly made more money with no more effort at all.
Mm.
We changed nothing. One great sales rep can have such a massive impact on your business just through pure passion and skill. So that's one big thing that I learned. And my two reps now are 2A players. That's why we're able to do so much cash with such a small team. Also, one thing that I've learned is, so I was in a mastermind with a guy called Cole Gordon, and I said to him, what differentiates the million a month guys from the smaller guys? And he was like, they've all got big YouTube channels. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And I was like, right, I am going to go and for my next business, I'll drive it with a YouTube channel primarily. And that was some really great advice because when you make YouTube videos, especially like I do, like 45-minute, 60-minute long form, unedited videos, you can build a lot of trust, build a lot of value, build a lot of respect, and that kind of thing. And it just makes everything so much easier, man. People, you don't have to close anyone. People just close themselves. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think, I mean, I'm sure because you win some, you lose some. So last company, you didn't necessarily have a personal brand attached to it. But if you would have built a YouTube channel for that offer, do you think you would have infinitely achieved either a greater size or because personal brand is like it's not necessarily as scalable, but like it gives you certain leverage. But
Yeah,
like, do you think it would have changed massively the not necessarily the valuation to someone else, but at least the cash you made personally?
definitely. You know what? I was playing a revenue game in that last company. So I was sacrificing profit to brag
Mm,
about big numbers. Right now, one of my past mentors has this saying. He says, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king. Right. And I was just chasing revenue because I just wanted to say to people when I go for a dinner, I wanted to say the biggest number, you know.
yeah.
And towards the end of the company, the month that I signed to sell the company, we did 824K, right? Revenue with about 400 cash and about 170 profit ish,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So it was a revenue business rather than a profit business, and this is a profit business rather than a revenue business.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So the margin in that last company was like 32%, 34, and obviously the margin now is, depending on the month, 89 to about 91%. So I'm just playing a different game now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel, last week or a few weeks ago, I did this breakdown where we're actually looking at data because it's funny that you shared this. We were looking at, so we have a lot of people who are on this call are all kind of like focusing on growing companies. So that's kind of like we're trying to figure out how to scale and find insights. And we
Mm.
were comparing a few companies that we scaled to 6 figures, multiple 6 figures a month, and we realized that the value per closing call booked from a typical, let's say, VSL funnel or ads direct response compared to a lead that went through content, maybe YouTube to a community to being set, was 27 times higher. Like if a closing call is worth $100, the actual closing call show on a content funnel is 22 2000 almost $3,000. So
Mm.
what we realize is that So what's the fucking point of fucking running ads and just doing direct response, trying to pitch every lead that comes in? It's like, it's great.
Yeah.
But yes, I see a lot of people are saying, oh, I make millions of dollars a month. But I'm like, yeah, but you're spending $800,000 a month on ads.
It's bullshit, man. It really is. Like, I know most of the big players in this industry by now, and I could tell you names right now that you'd all know that are doing $1 million a month, 1.2 a month. Bro, they're making 150 profit. I'm making fucking 4 times just without the bragging rights.
It's insane.
They are playing revenue games, not profit games. Now, with that said, we do run ads. We run them at immensely low scale to my book funnel, right? So we run Meta and Instagram ads to sell the $12.95 book, and then we get people to book calls and ascend into the program. We're doing 0.4 on the front end, so we lose. If you spend 1,000, we lose 600 and make 400 back. And we're doing about 5.1 on the back end with about a 2-month sales cycle. So it's wildly profitable, but it's very small. It's very low scale. You know, we don't want to scale paid ads again because I've almost fucking killed myself from doing that in the goddamn past. Fucking hell. That company was one of the most stressful fucking times of my goddamn life. Honestly, I've got like PTSD from fucking, because we were spending like 6K a day on ads.
Oh my God.
Dude, I could barely sleep sometimes, honestly.
Yeah. The other week, I mean, for me, I've never really been, the most amount of money I've ever spent on ads for my own company is probably like 50K. And we did it just once in a month and we stopped that. But I've personally gone back to spending like just 1K a week on ads.
Yeah.
And the reason I realized is that I was like, man, these leads are useless. So you got to really engineer a process. I mean, it's not that they're useless. You could for sure hunt them and go knock on their door and try to ask them for their credit card at home and find them in their bed and try to kill them if they don't buy. Cool, you could do that. But it's like, that's not a business. Like, it's like everybody, then they're going to come after you after. So I realized that and here's another point. Because for me, one thing that has always stood out for me is I look at Hormozi's case study where he goes from figuring out a way to license his insight, do consulting instead of flying in person. And then he makes like, I think he said that he made like 17 million or 20 million, like almost 20 mil in like 2 years, right? I'm like, why would someone exit a business where you just made 20 mil profit in 2 years to go and build a content channel for your acquisition company? I'm like, couldn't you just spin up an ad and just go market? But I realized that, oh my God, he probably understands something that a lot of people don't yet understand, which is that the new riches are not coming from advertising. They're coming from being able to acquire attention almost for free. And then of course because it gives you just so much edge, but it's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. But yeah, for me, I'm really curious. So how do you go about helping people go from build the coaching and then, scale it and then exit it? Like, what's your playbook around that? Let's say if someone wanted to kind of like work with you, I think that could also be a good insight for people.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so last year I only had one offer, which was like my done with you one-to-one offer. And it's 9,000 a month on a cancel anytime basis. And then when the YouTube channel blew up, we got a lot of people on calls that couldn't afford that or weren't a good fit. So then we made a cheaper group coaching program, which instead of 9, it's only 4K a month, cancel anytime. And then we also got someone on the phone one day who was like, look, he was a new guy with a very good offer. He was like, can you just build it for me? And we were like, we made a done for you offer, which is 15K a month, cancel anytime. So those are the main 3 offers that we sell: 4K a month group, 9K a month one-to-one, 15K a month done for you. And then we've got an 85K exit your business offer. But obviously you've got to be, it's very, we sell like one every 3 months of that unit. And you can only pay in full. And I work with you for 6 months to prepare for exit. And you use my M&A advisor. He uses his book of buyers and we sell your business. So we've got that. And then we've got a 1-day workshop. We've got a 3-day mastermind. So that's kind of the product ecosystem. And then we got the book as well. So there's different offers for different people in different places. I'm a big fan of having like a product ecosystem with entry points for different people, but you've got to build them one at a once. You can't just have 7 fucking offers from day one. You got to do
Yeah.
one well. Right, cool, that works. Now we want to serve this part of the market, get it working done. Now we want to serve this part of the market. Now we want to do an event for customers, and you slowly build the ecosystem. And that's how we do, the 400, 450 a month that we do right now.
Okay. What's the logic behind? Because one of the thing around pricing monthly, do you have kind of like a reason? Because most people in this space just charge like a program fee, right? What's
Yeah.
your logic around charging monthly?
Yeah, well, again, this comes from the last business. So one of my biggest pains was starting from zero every month. So on the first of every month, you just have this feeling of fucking hell, let's go again, and it's just not a nice feeling, man. I really hated it, and I just wanted to do recurring. Now, bear in mind, I was already doing a bit of business coaching when I was still in the last business.
Okay. Yeah.
I had just a few clients paying me a monthly fee for like 1 hour a week call. So I was already actually doing this still when I was in the last company, and that's where I learned, wow, I can go and do this bigger and better. And I just love monthly. I'd rather charge less, but monthly, rather than a higher price once. I love having a list where it's like first of the month, 2 renewals, third of the month, 3 renewals, and you just know that you've got,
Compounding.
yeah, you've just got money that is going to come in. That calms you down. So you've got a better energy. You can then approach the business with that better energy. It's just the best, man.
I agree. Totally agree. 100%. What's your are you, I know you're currently like, in the build, anything you're currently looking at when it comes to AI?
No, to be honest, dude.
No?
Yeah, I haven't. I honestly, I probably sound like a granddad. I'm
Yeah.
33, but I'm just not interested, man. Like I'm just staying in my lane and just doing what I'm doing. I don't know anything about AI, so
No.
I
I had to
might,
ask.
get left behind. Who knows?
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. You're making enough where you can buy time. You're good. All right, cool. Casey, I don't know if you have any other questions you'd
Yeah,
like.
yeah, dude. I had a
Yeah.
couple questions. So not just for me, man, but I can imagine for everyone watching, right? Like one of the things that we can get from you, what is shortcutting success? It's avoiding the failures of people ahead of us. So I'd actually be super curious. Is there any like made 1, 2, or 3 things as far as choices that you have made that have, like looking back on it, that have been worth it and also haven't been worth it? Like anything that comes to mind.
Well, yeah. I mean, one thing that's really changed my life is just getting in the best masterminds, working with the biggest guys, getting coaching from them, and just basically being told what to do. So whenever I'm stuck, I just find someone who's got what I want, who's where I want to be, and I just try and pay them to tell me what to do. Essentially, that's served me so well over the years. Because one of my first coaches was Sam Ovens, another was Alex Becker, another was Cole Gordon. So I've been lucky to work with some of the biggest guys, and I just do what I'm told, man. I literally just do what I'm told. So one thing that's worked is that. One kind of big mistake that I made was not understanding the importance of A players and the damage that B and C players can cause, and how much it can slow you down and affect your business and your growth and your profit and your sanity and everything, right? Another thing that I think I did well was just staying sane through scaling ads. Just meditating, journaling, holding on for dear life, having a plan, having good people around me to keep me grounded, and just not losing my shit. And one big bad thing was actually hiring my best friend to be the sales team manager, which was big mistake. Big mistake. Like never hire your friends, let alone your best childhood friends, to be that important. Like honestly, I'll never work with a friend again, ever. I'll never work with a personal friend ever again, let alone a best friend, for God's sakes, because it can cause so much drama, especially if you want to exit. Because if you want to exit, that best friend is going to want money, and it just gets messy, man. It's very, very messy. Keep it professional and just hire very, very well,
I can imagine. On that note, two questions I had, and I'll kind of stay on this cadence of questions. And then for everyone, I see it in the chat. Yeah, we'll have you raise your hand, and then William will pull you off mute. But let's stay on this topic for just a second, because one of my questions was around the person who was a mentor to you, right? So I have, dude, PBD, my favorite mentor. I've been consuming all his old stuff.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate, I'm surprised no one on podcasts actually asked him about business. How is he thinking about leadership? How is he thinking about hiring, right? But the other one that I really, really have always loved learning from was Alex Becker. I always call him one of the marketing goats. So you worked with him. Is there any things that he shared with you in your journey that you think would be valuable for us to know since you had that one-on-one experience with him?
Yeah, there is one thing, and I've never forgot this. It's on my mind, honestly, all the time. He said, "Get $1 million in cash, and it will give you balls." Right? And honestly, when you've got big cash reserves, bigger than you even need, for me, it is so calming. You can, you've got a big advantage. You can make very, very good, clear decisions, not for money. This is another thing that I did wrong as well. I made decisions out of fear and out of greed and not out of logic and professionalism. That I wish I could go back. But you've kind of got to go through, we all go through the no money stage to get to the bloody money stage. That's why we're all in business in the first place. But yeah, for me, I always keep massive, massive, massive cash reserves because it just keeps me very calm. And when I'm calm, I make good decisions. When I make good decisions, the business does better. It's like a positive flywheel. And that's one thing I've never forget. I've never forgot that when Alex said that. He was just like, get $1 million in cash and then it will give you balls. That's word for word what he said. And I've never forgot that.
Interesting. Very interesting. I always tell people to stack their cash reserves because business is up and down. You never know what's going to happen. So it's good hearing you say that as well.
Yeah. And then when you have a bad month, right, you don't panic because you're like, well, it's okay. We've got more than enough cash. So that, and that's the kind of thing. And bad months can really fuck up businesses because then you make bad decisions. You fire the wrong person. You do this wrong thing. And you can really kill your business, man, if you're not focused, and cash reserves keeps you focused. So
yeah, I love that, man. Thank you. Last two on this note, because one, I see you doing a lot of events, and I'm actually curious because you're probably having a lot of conversations with the Cole Gordons.
yeah.
A lot of these higher level guys, I see you do them all the time. But before I actually get to that question, the question I want to ask prior is, since you are in these rooms, right? Two-part question. What questions are you asking? And then maybe you're around these billionaires or whatever the case is. What questions are these guys asking that we aren't asking that we should be?
Yeah, dude, one question I always ask when I've earned the right to ask this is, how do you invest your excess capital? Because one thing that I'm focused on is keeping the money, not just making the money, but keeping it and growing it.
Mm.
And yeah, I always ask people that whenever I know them well enough to ask. I always ask them that. I always find the answers really interesting. It's usually the same answer: buy real estate with cash, don't have debt, hedge your capital, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. And that's again, I've just blindly taken that advice over the years, and that's all I do. I just keep money in high interest bank accounts, buy real estate with cash, buy real estate with cash. That's it. That's all I've ever done.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And the last question, then you guys can start raising your hand. So I'm actually super curious. This is me being nosy. I see, like, it's almost like everyone's nature of scale. Eventually everyone, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, Cole Gordon, you're doing them nonstop. Everyone like leans into these events. What is the car? Like, you guys are doing masterminds. I imagine these guys at the masterminds are sharing why they're doing events. Is it a cash cow thing, network? Like, what's the premise of doing all these events besides obviously probably this, like, the enjoyment of being around all these high level people?
Yeah, for sure. Well, dude, the reason I started my mastermind was to make more money, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason I started it. And then when I did my first ever mastermind, it was by far the most fulfilling 3 days of maybe my entire life. It was so fucking fun, so fulfilling, so heartwarming, just so great to be around because it's very rare that we get to hang out with groups of 10, 20, 30 people just like us. The same brain, same mission, same passions, dreams, same place that we're all going. So that is an amazing room to be in. And that was when, I was like, wow, well, I'm going to do this mastermind for a very long time, for as long as I can, because I just really look forward to it. Like I've got another one next weekend, the big 3-day one that we do every other quarter. And I just can't wait, man. It's going to be fucking awesome. I just love it. And the money's just a bonus, honestly, as cheesy as that sounds.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Cool. Everyone who has a question, put your hands up. William, I'm going to give you control. Preface, he
Yep.
has a hard cutoff, so we're going to start 5 minutes prior. I'm going to end it off on a few questions. Be mindful of others. One quick question so Will can get to the next person. All righty?
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Cool. Well, Amy Rose, I saw that you asked a question. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask me something?
You
It's
can
not
you can
unmuting.
now.
You're
Yep,
muted.
go ahead.
Oh, yeah, she can't. You have to unmute her. We have to unmute her. I forgot. Amy,
Ah,
where are you at?
I already clicked it.
there we go.
Yeah, she just now you can click on it. It should unmute you.
Now try to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Yes, got you loud and clear.
Yeah, I think you kind of partially already answered it. I was going to say, like, what was the pivotal moment in your journey where, and like, who was it that helped you to sort of change your mindset, or what was it that made you so successful, or can you pin it on anything, or?
Oh yeah, oh definitely. So at the end of year 2, right? And keep in mind, like I'd bootstrapped everything. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I didn't know what paid ads were. I did not know what a sales funnel was. I didn't know what a VSL was. And I joined Alex Becker's mastermind, and he taught me to make and run paid ads, make funnels, write a VSL and stuff. And that completely changed my life, completely changed the business just because of paid ads. So the year before I did about $250,000. The next year I did 1.3, we more than 5x the business. And it was just all because of paid ads and being able to build a funnel. So thank God. I remember seeing his ad. I was in a hotel in London before a DJ set. I saw his ad, booked a call, and I'm so happy that I bought that mastermind because it completely changed my life.
Okay, nice.
Cool.
Cool, thanks.
No worries.
I think I know Becca. I have him on Insta.
Yeah, Becca is an absolute OG. Okay, all right. Who next? Daniel Atkins. What's on your mind, dude?
See if you can unmute.
Hey, dude. One, really appreciate you spending the time to do this for all of us. And the question is, so what's your thought process of pushing through times where things don't feel like they're going right? Obviously, like it feels like you're doing the right things, you're putting the right processes in place, but kind of like, what's your thought process and kind of maybe some examples of times where you felt like nothing's working? And kind of like, how do you get through those times, I guess?
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, there was a period, I think it was like year 4 of the last business, where our ad account went down and the sales reps were underperforming. And it was just a difficult nightmare time. And yeah, it was just not a good place to be, man. And I just used logic. So some days I just felt emotionally drained and stressed and tired and just like things were bad. And I didn't know what to do. But one thing I always do, I've got a journal and I write in the journal all the bloody time. And I just like logically map shit out. And I'm like, right, logically, what do I need to do to get this thing that I want? I'm like, well, I need to do this thing, do this thing, do this thing. And then I just try and just not even think and not be emotional and stuff and just do the actions that will get me the result. Journaling reduces anxiety and stress for me a lot. Meditation really, really helps as well when things get a bit too stressful, too crazy, and you just feel lost. So that's what I'd say, mate. Meditate, journal, get clear, know exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Build the logical plan to get it, and just do the steps that are going to lead you there, and just try and not be emotional, honestly.
Yeah. It's just like trust the process. And I guess like,
yeah,
is it always coming from like, have you ever had times like that where you didn't actually know whether those steps would work?
Well, yeah, certainly, dude. And those were when my business was slower and smaller. And Like, you've just got to, again, find someone who's got what you want, who's really got what you want, right? And pay them to just coach you, look over your shoulder. Like, dude, I've got two separate mindset coaches, and I do an hour with one, then 2 weeks later the other, then 2 weeks later one. And they're just there to fact check my decisions. Honestly, I just go to them and I'm like, right, this is my next goal. I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? What do you think? What would you do? And these guys work with very high level entrepreneurs. So I have people that I pay to just check my logic and check my decision making and stuff. So just get someone to help you who knows their shit to fact check your logic. And then if you're happy and they are happy, it's probably likely that you're doing the right thing. Then just do it, you know?
Awesome.
Love that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, no, that that smooths things out a lot. Really appreciate that, dude.
My pleasure, dude. My pleasure. Awesome. Okay. Kekoka,
Hey man, how's it going?
things are good, dude. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for being here. I know it's late over in Dubai, it looks like you're at. So yeah, so I know you mentioned that you got like a 2-month sales cycle on the low ticket book funnel. How would you go about increasing the speed of that conversion cycle, either forcing consumption, getting them booked in faster? Like, I'm curious, what's your thought process behind that?
Well, yeah, we're trying. We're trying to get that fucking sales process down. I don't want it to be 2 months. I want it to be 1 day. I want people to just buy it. But that's just not the nature of human beings, you know. Sometimes you've got to play the long game, you know. And honestly, we're currently trying to get that sales process down by SMSing the leads, dialing the leads, just all the stuff that you would know already. And if there's one thing I've learned, right, sometimes there is no solution. You know, sometimes there actually isn't a solution from what I've learned. So you've got to be willing to play the long game. And if you can play the harder games that less people want to play, well, that in itself gives you an edge. You know, this comes back to cash reserves. So I don't mind going negative to come very, very largely positive. And also I know that it gives me an edge because so few people will even do that, you know? So that's another thing I always think about. I think like what gives me an edge in the market. And that's part of the reason why I sold the company, because no one else has. So that gives me a massive edge. Like this award, the 10 million award, gives me another little edge. You know, being as handsome and attractive as I am gives me another edge. You know, wearing these beautiful $9 white t-shirts, another edge. Having an amazing sense of humor. I'm joking. All right. Just shit like that. You know?
I love that.
Cool. Chris, I'm going to come to you next. What's on your mind, dude?
You can try now.
Yeah.
Try and...
Yeah. So we already talked before on Instagram and on your free consulting call. So my question was, how do you go over service delivery? Like, how do you make so that your customer lifetime value is really high and you retain them like crazy? Like, how do you go from there?
Yeah, that took us a while to solve that, actually. So we used to get people that would like, you know, jump into the 9K program for 1 month, jump out, come back later. It just wasn't fluid. So I made this training video for my course, my program, and it maps out the 9 stages of one of these businesses, right? And there's also a map. So when people come in, they can see where they are on the map. And it's got like months assigned to it, income assigned to it, things to do assigned to it. And now people stay in because they come in and they're like, oh, I'm on number 3. Right, now I've got to do this thing next and this thing next and this thing next. And it's like a process, and they understand the income that comes along with it as well. So they're like, you know, and it's just really helped people to come in and stay in, to keep fixing the problems. Because people used to like come in with a problem, like VSL is not converting. I'll help them with the VSL. It converts, they go away. But now it's like, oh yeah, but if your VSL is converting, well, now you're going to need to hire a rep and ramp a rep and train a rep, manage a rep, do your price testing, sort your unit economics, know your funnel math, you know, so then it becomes a bigger thing to solve. and that's that. I can show you guys the map, by the way, maybe later in the call. I'll pull it up and show you the map if we have the time. But yeah, does that help, Chris?
Yeah, that does help. Thank you.
Nice, man. No worries. I'll just answer one more question and I'll show you guys the map so that you can see it.
Love it.
Okay. Janaea, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. And thank you for coming on this call. I appreciate it. It's Janae, by the way, but that's fine. I know it's spelled really weird. All right, so the numbers that you and Serge are talking about are just like, pinch me, is this real? So I'm like not there at all, but I hope to one day get there. My question to you is, when you're starting out, because I feel like I'm wearing a lot of hats and I'm trying to like perfect a lot of things. I don't know what to put my attention on. I don't know, like, what am I doing? You know, I feel like I'm going out and like digging 100 wells a day. And I'm like, what would you say you should optimize for in the beginning of your journey to kind of like step by step get to the next level? Because I feel like I'm trying to do a lot of stuff.
Okay. Let me show you the map because I think the map might answer this. And if it doesn't, then I'll try and re-answer it. All right. So let me just, oh, what's going to come up here? This is not what I want. All right, let me get this. Cool. So these are the 9 stages of one of these businesses, right? Get traffic, book calls, close calls, scale up, sort your team and your cost per acquisition out, work on your lifetime value and back end, then your infrastructure, culture and values, and then you can exit if you want to prepare for exit, right? And honestly, to get to 50K a month, honestly, a little bit further, this is all you got to do. Get traffic, book sales calls, close sales calls at a high ticket price. If you do that, honestly, that is all that you got to do to get to 50, 75, maybe even 100K a month, right? Then when you get there, you can scale, right? So when you've got your first few sales and you've made 10 to 50K or so, you scale, you raise your ad spend, you get more organic traffic, book more calls, close more calls, make more money, right? And that's stage 4. That gets you to 100, honestly, a little bit further. Now, when you get up to that stage, about the 100 to 300, well, then you've got to start hiring closers, focusing on your cost per acquisition if you're running ads, you know, making sure that your average order value and your LTV is as high as possible to sustain the scale, sustain operations, that kind of thing. And then you've got to sort your lifetime value and your back end out. That gets you to usually about 300, 400, 500K a month. You've got to start thinking about a back end, other offers that you can sell, maybe a mastermind, a done for you service, that kind of thing. You've just got to make as much from each customer as possible. Then infrastructure becomes a problem at scale. Culture and value becomes a problem, or else the infrastructure falls apart, that kind of thing. Right. So where are you now, would you say?
Oh, we got to unmute her. Hold on, we're coming.
Yeah, you're muted, by the way.
Yeah, I'm at like, yeah, get traffic.
Cool.
I have clients, but it's a totally new offer. So like basically I'm a newbie.
Yeah, we all start there. So what are you going to do for traffic?
Paid ads.
Nice. That's good to hear because it gives you control. Like you can't scale organic, but you can scale ads. So that's really good to hear. Well, when you do your ads, if you build everything right, you're going to book calls. And when you start booking calls and closing calls, you're going to make money. What's your program price?
It's going to start at 5K. And then as I add stuff, it'll go up.
Awesome price point. Yeah, that's a solid price. Well, you're going to be crushing. I mean, with a price like that, your ads should definitely be nice and profitable for sure. It's going to help you with pushing on the gas. And then you can start thinking about, you know, when all that's done and it's working, by month 1, month 2, month 3, you can start to spend a bit more, buy more calls, close more calls. And you can keep doing that until, because as you spend more on ads, your cost per acquisition is going to rise. And then eventually you're going to need to fix the cost per acquisition and the lifetime value and play with that and vice versa. Does that help? Super helpful. Yes. Thank you. Awesome. Good stuff. My pleasure. Cool.
That was awesome, man.
Good stuff. That's how good the program is. So you should all buy it to experience. Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
We're
okay?
coming, bro. We coming.
Yeah, gotta love it. Anyway, Abdul, what's on your mind, dude?
Yeah, I hope you're doing all right. Thanks for taking your time to show up. But my question is actually based off of the map that you pointed out. And so something I noticed was that you basically said that you should begin to hire a closer at about maybe the 50K mark, if I remember, 50K to 100K mark. So would you say until then you should the owner should pretty much be all in on closing sales and doing it themselves, or how do you feel?
100%. So you
Okay.
can't hire a closer until you've got a tracking sheet, right, with a log of, man, at least 50 calls, more like 100, 150 calls plus. And you've got to record every single call, keep notes on every single call. And that's the evidence that you use to hire. Because if you don't have that and you hire a closer, there's no close rate. There's no baseline, right? So you've got to set the baseline. As the CEO, depending on your price and your offer, you should be closing about 35%, 40% typically as the face and the name of the brand. Your closer, if you hire a rock star, won't be far behind that, but it's very hard to hire rock stars. And if you hire a normal rep, they'll close at 25, 27%, maybe a bit higher. But then you've set the baseline. And when you hire, you can be like, right, there you go. There's 150 calls of evidence. I close at 37%, listen to them all, look at the notes, and then they can almost take calls without taking calls by listening, right? And that ramps them very quickly. And then, so that's the start of the process, essentially.
Okay, so I see it seems like it just helps a lot in terms of like metrics and being able to hire. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries, man. Cool. Okay. Edwin, what's on your mind, dude?
Hey, what's up, William? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for showing up today to the call and giving us all this value. So for me personally, I struggle with closing. Just kind of piggybacking off of Abdul's question. So I guess what would you recommend in terms of becoming a better closer yourself? I would say I'm still at that kind of M1 stage, right? So what would you recommend in terms of getting better at closing?
For sure, dude. For sure. Well, number one, let me just pull this up. Right, dude, I've literally just made this YouTube video, right? And it's literally the end-to-end sales process from my last company, but also kind of what we do now. Right? It's a pretty long video. It's an hour and 5 minutes. But dude, if you watch this whole thing, you'll understand the sales call process, because usually when people can't close, they don't understand the sales call process and what they're saying and how they're saying it, because a sales call is like a psychological fucking session with someone. And if you say the right things in the right order, they're way, way, way more inclined to buy. And if you don't, they're a lot less kind of inclined to buy. So the number one problem I see with people that can't close is they don't really understand the sales script or the sales call process. And number two, they don't know how to ladder down on price. And we can talk more about that in a sec if you want to. And they're not good at objection handling either. They don't know how to properly tie people down, objection handle, remove pressure and stuff. But it takes years, man. It took me years of this shit to learn. So it's a skill and it's a process, man, that you've got to learn over time. So just get some good quality sales training, practice, learn, and just watch just watch good training. That's what I'd say.
And awesome. And then in terms of the training, are there any resources that you would recommend yourself in terms of sales training? Because I think I'm definitely gonna watch your video. So
yeah, I mean the three things that may be good at closing. Number one is experience on the phone, just mad reps on the phone. So when I used to take calls, man, I swear to God, I used to take calls 9 to 9, 6 days a week for months. I swear to God, I just lived on sales calls for months. So experience, number one. Very good training. So I went through Cole Gordon's sales training to learn how to sell. I don't think that was my first sales training program. I think Sam Ovens sales training was the first, Cole Gordon's sales training was the second, which is very, very good. It's really, really good training. And number 3 was actually Jordan Belfort's Way of the Wolf audiobook, right? And I'm very specific about the audiobook because in the audiobook, you can really take on the training, especially the tonality training, because obviously you can't learn that from a book. You need to learn it from a human. So if you do those 3 things, dude, you'll get very good over time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Love that. Ismail,
thank you.
last question. Ismail, I got one more content related question I think we'll all benefit from, and then we'll wrap up. I got a Power 5 rapid fire and we'll be good to go.
Nice.
Yeah, awesome. I guess my question is, I think as an entrepreneur, a lot of times you get married to that first idea and you have all these, great things that you're trying to accomplish with it. And, you kind of get, super invested into it and you learn all these skills and things like that. But I guess my question is, when do you think it's the right time to hang it up on that idea, maybe get on to the next thing?
I think, well, kind of probably when you've tried everything, when you've really tried everything. And, if you've tried everything and you've even, hired a coach or a mentor who's done it, and even they can't fix it, if someone at the top of the game can't fix it and you can't fix it, that's probably when I would give up, to be honest. I'd probably I'd try and do it myself. If I couldn't do it, I'd get a coach or a mentor. If they couldn't do it, I'd probably get one more to fact check them. And if they couldn't solve it, then I would throw in the towel.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Does that help, dude? Any kind of thing to add to that?
I guess in the beginning, it could be difficult in terms of resources to get that coach or the next coach to kind of help you walk through those things. So time becomes of the essence. So like sometimes, I don't know, I think that maybe like getting into maybe a different type of niche or something like that, where there's like less resistance, particularly in the beginning stages, to kind of go further. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, that's very true. So there are niches that are easier and there are niches that are harder. There's also niches that are smaller and that are bigger. So I've got a woman client who sells a knitting program, does about 17K a month with that, but she ain't going to scale that to big numbers. It's knitting, for God's sakes, right? Equally, our old company, the trading company, if I had a personal brand attached to that as well, we could have scaled it way further. So some markets are bigger, some markets are smaller. Some market, the desire and problem bigger. Some markets, the desire and problem is smaller, right? So what market are you in, dude?
I'm in medical spa niche.
So what did you say? Medical what?
Medical spas and aesthetic clinics.
Well, dude, I mean, the fact that I don't know what you're talking about tells me that's a pretty difficult and small market, right there. So, but then again, I mean, there's loads of shit that I don't know. So it could be a massive market and I just don't know, right? Because I don't know anything about it. So, I mean, how big do you think the market is?
I think it's fairly big. I think it's like 15,000 plus clinics.
Yeah, well, dude, I mean, yeah, so again, I try and think like logically through things. I try and just use logic and facts rather than emotion. So my first question would be, well, how big is this market factually with data to back it up? If it's big, right, how big is the problem? Let's go and speak to people and say, do you have this problem? Do you want this solution? And if they say yes, okay, cool. We've got a big market and they've got the problem. They want the solution. We're halfway there. Now, can we make something so valuable that they buy it and give us money? If yes, you got a business. Game on. So just try and use logic.
Got it. Makes sense.
I love it, man. Appreciate you,
Cool.
dude. You can make this answer super short and then we'll end with the Power 5. A lot of us here know we need to be getting on content. You have somewhat cracked the code, and I had someone on the internal team DM me to ask this because it's a great freaking question, because you technically look like you aren't trying to crack a code, So, but you've blown up over the past 6 months. Is there anything that you can share with us as far as anything YouTube-wise that maybe you've learned in your journey?
Well, yeah, I mean, one thing that I've learned, and I kind of learned this through one of my coaching clients who also has a massive YouTube, like millions of followers on YouTube. He said to me, oh God, what was the exact word that he used? It wasn't unique. It was, I can't remember the word, but he basically said you've got to make videos that no one else can make, or that they just look and feel brand new. You know, so my first ever video that did well was I just sold my business to a private equity firm for millions, right? No thumbnail, unedited, long form, you know, and it just looked and felt unique. So I'm not surprised that it did well, because it's a standout kind of video. So you've just got to make things that other people aren't making or can't make in just a unique way. But usually I just look at what everyone's doing and do the complete fucking opposite, right? So if everybody edits videos, I don't edit my video. If everybody has these big fancy thumbnails, I don't have a thumbnail, right? If everyone does 10-minute videos, I'll do a 60 fucking minute video, you know, and I just try and do what other people are not doing. And when you do that, you cut through the market. When you cut through the market, you get views and sales, you know? So how can you do what's different?
I love that. I love that. Love that a lot. Appreciate you for sharing that. Cool, man. I know we're wrapping up on time. We end this on the Power 5, which is the rapid fire question. Rapid fires. You ready?
Okay. I think so. Let's give it.
Let's rock and roll. What is your favorite business book besides your book, How to 10 Million?
Oh, Ready, Fire, Aim. That's the best book for entrepreneurs on planet Earth by far.
I love that. What CEO or founder are you studying at the moment?
Patrick Bet-David.
Oh, I love that's my favorite one right now. Do you have a favorite mantra, saying, or quote that you live by right now, personal or business?
Make money, have fun, and help people.
I love that. I love that. What's one thing you wish you knew, could be personal, back when you were 20?
Buy real estate with cash.
Love that. And then is there any fancy tool that you're using right now in today's market? Favorite tool?
God, what's my favorite tool? For YouTube, the favorite tool is YouTube, man. You know, without YouTube, yeah, things would be different, man. So YouTube is by far the best tool.
YouTube's king.
YouTube is king, man.
Dude, we appreciate you, man. First and foremost, everyone drop a 1 in the chat for him coming out, spending his time with us. We dropped all your links in the channel. Go check him out. He's an absolute G. I've been consuming a lot of your content, man, and it's really good. So go get his book. Serge, is there any closing thoughts that you want to give?
No. What is it? Build, scale, or grow and exit?
It's such a terrible name. No one can remember it. Build, grow, and exit. Build, grow. I even need to say it a few times so I can remember.
Yeah.
Build, grow, and exit.
Cool. What do you think about the perspective of not exiting?
Well,
of holding on for just build an asset, just, you know, like you're buying real estate. Why don't you build an org that just cash flows forever?
Well, I mean, dude, there comes a time when, so the reason I sold the last company, right, I was sat downstairs in the cafe of the building I used to live in, and I was writing in my journal, and I wrote down, if I had 100 million in cash right now, what would I just do with my day? If I didn't have to do anything, well, what would I do with my day? You know? And my number one answer was meet up with my friends and talk about business. Because that's my number one favorite thing to do, is go for coffee and be like, how's your business doing? What are you working on? How's it going? How can I help? Here's what I'm doing. Oh, this is working really well. You should do that. So my number one passion in the entire world is to talk about business, right? And that's why this is my 10th call in a row today, because I just love it. And I'm still not tired, you know, at fucking 9 p.m. So I just love it. And when I realized that, I thought, well, I'm doing that once a month right now, if that. And I was like, I've got enough money, because I had, you know, multi-7 figures cash, multi-7 figures real estate outright. And I didn't need the business, and I didn't want the business anymore. So I was like, right, I'm going to sell it, you know. And there came that point. And I know that there will come a point in this business, because right now I coach people one-to-one, which takes time, takes human time, right? And
so it's not a group. Well, some of it is group, and then some of it is one-to-one, right?
Yeah, so there's a group program where I just do 2 hours every Monday for the group. Then there's the one-to-one program, which is anytime one-to-one with me and my WhatsApp. And then the done for you is that, but we do everything for you. And the nature of the scale is really just high prices and recurring prices. That's what enables us to scale this far and sustain it. But my point is, there will come a time where I don't like the one-to-one. It might be 6 months, might be 2 years, but there will come a time. And when I don't want to do it anymore, I'll just stop doing it. And I do want to try and sell this business in the future. And I've got a plan to try and sell it. I've got a very good M&A advisor who helped me sell my last company. And he was like, if you do this and do this and do this, you can sell it. But it's quite hard to do. But I'm going to try and do it just for fun. So we'll see.
Love it. Love it. Thank you again for making time, and thanks for everyone to have jumped on today's call.
Thank you, bro. We appreciate you, dude.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been a real pleasure to be here, and to you guys, I really appreciate the time and for having me. It's been really fun. So yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, brother. Don't work too hard.
I'll try. It's time for a cigar to end the day. All right. Go and have a good one, guys, and I'll see you soon, okay?
Take care,
Later,
guys.
brother.